that will be watching this. We're here on behalf of Halo Halo interviewing Ian Stamaria, a renowned Filipino comic artist who is now working as a senior concept artist at Lego. So just really briefly, for all our viewers out there, could you let us know, give us a brief summary of who you are and what you've created so far?
Hello, everyone. I am Ian Santamaria, and uh, I created comic. I created the comic book Skyworld back in 2012, which I think got us a little bit of traction back in the Philippines, which led to other comic books, and which slowly led to me working here in Lego today.
Yeah. How did you get started in, this toy design the industry? How did you start working for Lego as you started out working in comics?
Oh, um, so to go back, the funny thing is, I never designed toys before Lego, like ever in my life. It was just comic books, a lot of comic books, and um, one of my best friends became a copywriter for Lego, and he gave out my portfolio to all the creative directors. And one of the creative directors saw it's my very old Deviant Art account, so old, shows my age. So the one of the creative directors saw my account and called me from Denmark, called me in the Philippines from Denmark, and I didn't even take it seriously at first. I thought it was a prank, and I said, "No, call back." I actually told the creative director to call back twice. But anyway, they saw my portfolio and asked me to do a couple of sketches for them to create. My first assignment was to create a few worlds uh, and to fly into Denmark for an interview. And that was my first time outside Asia in my whole life. And yeah, and that's how everything started.
For a follow-up question for that, what advice would you give to an aspiring toy designer or creative from the Philippines or other countries?
I, I think what I always say in most of my talks is get your work out there. I mean, we have the internet today, so it's very, very easy to self-advertise. Unlike back in the day when we were starting, we had to go door to door to publishers. Now you just have to go online, and but it's a double-edged sword. You have to also be prepared for everything or everyone that criticizes your work, and it's part of the journey, and just get your work out there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, it's a very different environment now, I feel. It's so easy to have your work, posted online. It's, for better or for worse sometimes.
right. Yeah, but it also creates this noise, like everything. There's too much, right? So
Right.
you also have to know where to post or how to get the eyes that you're looking for.
Exactly. Yeah. Like find the right places, definitely.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I feel like a
Is
lot
it
of artists struggle with that. I feel like they struggle with, balancing, criticism as a helpful thing and then over
right, right,
criticizing their own work and then not liking the end product of their creation.
right? There's a lot of that, which causes a lot of self-doubt, which causes it starts this chain reaction of being insecure about your work, which doesn't really help. And I guess it's tough. It's not always easy, but sometimes you just have, especially from harsh clients, you just have to take everything with a grain of salt and use that as a springboard for for just being stronger, I guess.
right, definitely. Yeah,
That's
and
really
I
awesome
know,
advice.
right, exactly, yeah. And I know you briefly touched on this before, your journey moving to Denmark, experiencing this new culture. So just to briefly touch up on that, what challenges did you face as a Filipino creative in this new environment, working in Denmark, and how did you overcome these challenges?
Well, first it's the weather. I've never seen snow before coming here,
Oh.
and
Wow.
um, other than that, um, uh, it's I would say I can't speak for other cultures in other countries, but working in Denmark, it's already super global. We're very international in Lego, So everyone, at first, I actually thought everyone was just felt being too nice. Lego, but I heard from outside agencies working in Copenhagen, they said that the Lego culture is really, really different from anything else in the world
Mhm.
because they have this thing called the happiness barometer at work. So that's not up to this day. It's not usual for me for my managers to check how happy I am, and so I think I'm just lucky to be included in an environment as welcoming as this. But in terms of working internationally, when we go outside of Lego and we do our work in other countries, I think the most challenging thing is trying to be heard, because sometimes, for example, I don't want to name countries, but there's some countries that didn't even talk to me during meetings, and my manager had to push for me to take the podium.
Mhm.
Sure, I'm saying. So there is still that little bit of stigma of uh, trying to prove yourself a little bit more than the others
Mhm.
outside Lego.
Right. Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I know, it's always really difficult, like moving to a completely new country, especially, as, I suppose a marginalized group in many ways. As a Filipino American, I can definitely, like sympathize with some of these sentiments as well. Um,
Um, do you see a growing recognition of Filipino talent in the global creative community? And what are some ways that you contribute to that visibility? Because I know that you do quite a bit.
I'm actually surprised that I did, to be honest. But yeah, there is a growing Filipino community, I think, globally. Like, for example, here in Lego, we started, there were just three of us, I don't know, four of us Filipinos in the creatives. And now I think we're up to 30.
Oh, oh wow.
Yeah, through the years. And it's been very, very fast how the other Filipinos just came in. And the funny thing is, I've kind of worked with all the Filipinos at a certain point in Manila, and they're all here now. And we were all office mates at one point
oh, wow.
from different ad agencies. So it's I am still overwhelmed. Um, and I think, sorry, to please repeat the question about the. I think I rambled on for a bit.
Oh no,
Well,
you're fine.
how we continue to um
The question was, how do you contribute? What are some ways that you
contribute.
contribute to the visibility?
Oh, again, that brings me to my earlier point is like
Mhm.
to get your work out there. I think it has to be visible on the web for you to be able to be part of the ether, and uh, as long as you get your work out there, it will be part. You start with little clusters of visibility in on different websites until you form this huge ether of Filipino culture references that everyone else can experience. So the important thing is really is not to be well known, but to be exposed as well. I think to the right channels. Uh, we were talking earlier about a lot of Filipinos don't really know how to, or not just Filipinos. There's a lot of artists who struggle to find the right uh, channels for where they want to be heard or seen, right? So it's nice to be able to find these little communities on social media, uh, or for example, like ArtStation. You everything is funneled, and therefore now you can be part of that community. And yeah, you just have to be out there, experience stuff, and be exposed.
And I think, that kind of echoes to our previous point before, just how much the scene has changed, like since Oh my gosh, since comics even became popular, as these people keep, producing art and, putting it out into the world, just, so much
Yes,
change in such little time.
exactly. And that's why, oh, we're lucky what we have the Halo Halo app, and soon
Right.
it'll be easier for everyone, and it's a good venue for other budding or Filipino aspiring artists.
We greatly
Definitely.
appreciate that. That means a lot to us. Thank you.
And
Plus, I love the logo.
oh, thank you.
The
Did you
logo
see the
makes me
plushie?
hungry.
Yeah.
What?
Did you see the plushie that we had at San Diego Comic-Con?
No, you have a plushie of this?
Yes. So we do. You'll have to ask Charlene for the pictures of it. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah,
Definitely.
that's it. Sorry, Catherine.
Oh no, I'm just saying it's definitely really cool. You got to check it out.
I will.
Yeah, and I know that you mentioned this in many of your other interviews before, and I know we were already talking about, how the impact of Filipinos has changed, abroad. But could you just speak more to your point, about how working in Denmark compares to the Philippines, right now, in terms of creative opportunities, cultural differences, and anything like that?
Uh, okay, the main difference is back in Manila, it really felt like every day was a competition.
Mhm.
So it was I was working almost 18-hour days in advertising, and that was my day job. So I had to find these little pockets
Mhm.
of free time for me to draw my own comic book.
Right.
And then flying here, again, I can speak for other companies, but Lego is very strict about mental health and personal time. In fact, I was so surprised. My first week here, I didn't know that you could go on break because you had to walk the dog, and that that was considered like something that is okay. Like, sorry, I can't be part of the meeting because my dog has to be walked. And like, "But you can do that here." So I mean, I guess like everyone here is just so kind in the office. So that that was so new for me. And then later on, a few years on, Budgetan, the creator of Trece, came and joined us as part of the Lego group, and he also experienced that weird. I have so much free time now, Ian. I don't know what to do. And just continue writing your book. And so at 4 o'clock, we are all forced to go home, like stop working, go home. So I was on my way to grocery. I saw Budget Tan walking in a parking lot with a notebook, and I said, "What you doing?" And that's where he said, "I don't know what to do. It's 4 p.m. We usually finish like 10. So I don't. I've written what I need to write. I don't know what to do now." And I'm like, "There's a forest over there. Go look for deer." So he did.
Wow.
Ah, that
So
is
I
too
guess
funny.
there's a difference from working in this company. It's helping us flourish our own personal stuff. In fact, they really push you to do your personal work. We have this thing called Fabulab Fridays where everyone is uh, urged to work on their personal projects. So that's where you see everyone with their own different quirk, like quirk. Like there's this other art director I'm working with who likes to make the fish hooks. You know the fish
Yes.
hooks.
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking
Yes.
about. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he does that, and I'm like, what are those? They look like plushy furry things, right? They don't look like hooks. I'm like,
They're
"Oh." I say, are you making trolls? No, no, no. These are for fish with these. Oh, you're a fisherman. Okay. Then and so the main difference for us Filipinos who came from Manila, who grew up working in Manila, is the work culture.
Mhm.
So we don't have to beat ourselves up anymore, every day. Now we have a lot of time to do other things.
Right. That sounds amazing. And I just want to let everyone know out there, this is not sponsored by Lego.
No, no.
But we but
They're
we
just
are very happy to hear that they are so pro you all having that mental health breaks and taking care of
Yeah,
yourself and having that time off for families, I feel like that's really important, especially,
Yes.
in no matter what country you're in. I think a lot of countries, different jobs have that, that issue where they don't really promote that. And so I'm really happy to hear that Lego really does that for you all. That's amazing.
Yeah, I heard that some companies are trying to catch up, and that's a good thing. I think it was during COVID where mental health suddenly was a topic that everyone was talking about, and that's a very good thing because because it is important.
I agree. Have you found any dishes in Denmark similar to Filipino food, or have you tried any new foods you've never experienced before? Like maybe that Alchemist
Um,
restaurant in Denmark?
okay, I discovered that I'm not a fan of rye bread. Um, wherever I go, I look for rice. The Danes find it weird that I like rice for breakfast. What else? But yeah, I love Danish beer. Uh, and I discovered that open-faced sandwiches are a thing. I didn't know that then. Uh, and but I cook. I love cooking. So my wife and I we do the occasional adobo, and we'd mix that up, make lumpia, uh, lumpiang Shanghai, and we try to replicate Filipino food as much as we can here. There's an Asian grocery in the other town, in the next town, so we go there just to replenish our Filipino cravings.
Mhm.
I
Any
was actually
There's
going to
no
ask that.
isaw here. There's no isaw and balut. I love isaw and balut.
Oh, of
They
course.
give me high
Wow.
cholesterol though. So,
I feel that.
have you guys tried balut?
Oh,
I
I
have
not
not.
my thing. Yeah, so I mean, I know, we touched on this a bit beforehand, but how do you think that, your Filipino identity and your Filipino values have made unique contributions to global design and the creative industries that you work in?
Um, See, that's a little bit tricky for me because I don't know how much of the culture I bring in, but as much as I can, I try to pitch in ideas that come from Filipino mythology.
Right.
So, and I do that at every meeting. In fact, my boss is starting to get sick of it. Yeah, not again. Just come on, we have to make one. The manananggal.
Yes.
So I I had to explain that concept to the Europeans. They don't understand it. They say, "What? So it's a vampire? No, not really a vampire. Kind of like a vampire, but you know, it it vaults out. Sure to say, it leaves the lower half, and they're like, "Why?" That's the thing, and there's no real one story. There are many stories behind it, but that's the concept. You leave the lower half behind, and they seem to be super duper amazed by that. And I said, and I always pitch that in meetings, and because it's so Lego, right? Yeah,
Definitely.
but it's a bit violent. Yeah, but it's very Lego. Just pull the upper part away. So
Right.
so we try to push that, and well, more than the specifics, it's really pushing a lot of modern tribal culture into the designs as well.
Mhm.
And since it did work for Black Panther, right? When when they were referencing Igorot designs for the Dora Milaje.
Mhm.
So we try to do that too with our projects. Some, but some get in, some don't survive the journey. But that's part of the game. But we try as much as possible to push the stories that reference the design as much as we could.
I have a fun little question for you.
Hmm.
So, with all that extra downtime you found yourself in, I've heard that you're a gamer. As a fellow gamer, what are your top two favorite games in rotation
It's
currently?
only two. Hold on.
Oh, I know!
Well,
It's
Elden
hard.
Ring, Baldur's Gate,
Of course.
but also Assassin's Creed, but also Horizons, also Ghost of Tsushima. And did you Witcher? Did you see the new
Mhm.
Witcher trailer? And it goes to the
Mhm.
Steam
Mhm.
trailer.
Mhm.
City, man, let's go.
And one more fun question for you. If you could
Hmm.
only pick one Lego set to play with for the rest of your life, which
I
one would it
cannot.
be?
No, no, no. It's not.
Okay, five. Five. I'll give you five. How about that?
Oh well. Wait, let me show you. I'm building this on the weekend.
Oh, oh,
That's
it's the Ghostbusters.
the Ecto one.
Oh, I can't. Are you going to post pictures on Instagram when you get it
Yeah, yeah.
done?
I will. I will.
Thank
Um,
you. I will
that
totally go look
one.
at that.
Well, I like my art too. And I'm
Mhm.
also building C3PO this weekend.
Ooh.
Um, I like the Star Wars ones. I like the spaceships. So I like my TIE fighters, the interceptors, the X-wings. Um, I actually have a bunch of Star Wars Lego spaceships that I haven't built, and it's been in the basement for I think 5 years now or more, and I haven't touched them. So it's Star Wars. I will always go to Star Wars for my Lego.
See. Oh, and another question, just a bit of a segue over here. As we, wrap up these more formal questions, what
Hmm.
advice would you give to young Filipino creatives looking to make an impact internationally?
Other than put themselves
Um,
out there, of course. I know we've had you say that a couple times.
yeah, yeah, but it's true. You um get yourself out there. Uh, be exposed to as much mentors as you can. Be a sponge, I think. Um, and most important thing of all is to be able to take revisions and criticisms uh, with a little bit of steel on your skin. Then don't let things like that bring you down. Because I've talked to a lot of young creatives, and it's the stress of having to do a repeated design over and over and over again based on revisions uh, does kill the creativity. But uh you have to let discipline win over inspiration sometimes, well, most of the time, if you want to really you know be if you want to rise from the noise.
Mhm,
That's I think it never hurts to go a bit of the extra mile
mhm. Right. Yeah, definitely. And I hear that echoed a lot.
while
Uh,
also taking care of your mental health.
wow. Yeah. And outside of, like these company initiatives, how do you deal when the world brings you down? How do you cope with that?
PlayStation.
Yep.
When I'm stressed, I immediately go to my console or I paint. Oh, that, and I am learning to cook some Chinese dishes.
Ooh,
So that's where most of my time also is spent.
interesting.
Also, I've been practicing how to make coffee.
Oh,
Yeah, making different kinds of flat white, and I don't know. The kitchen is also a place of zen for me. So,
Right. Huh. Is Denmark known for their coffee? I'm curious.
uh they they do they are they're like a coffee drinker country.
Ah, okay.
And most of my colleagues that they actually I got peer pressured into buying my own espresso machine
Mhm.
because everyone talks about making their own coffee, and we're gonna like I want to do that too. So,
Very
so now I'm
cool.
playing
nice.
around with that.
Have you found any Filipino restaurants in Denmark yet?
There's one in Copenhagen.
Ooh.
Um, Ma, I think Masaya is the
Hmm.
name. Wait, I have to Google the name. Or the Yeah, yeah. There's one, and we. Oh no, there's two. There's another one that opened by the airport. I forgot the name though.
No
Well,
worries.
and but they do the grilled chicken thing, like are you guys familiar with Mang Inasal chicken?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So the grilled chicken, so they do that.
Ooh.
So yeah, and we
Good.
try to do that here at home too. So we try
Right.
to hack the recipe.
Definitely. Good ways of like coping with the homesickness, right?
Yes, definitely.
Right. Wow. And yeah, I mean, like, kind of on this like Filipino vendor, what Filipino mythological creature do you best associate with? I know you try to incorporate this a lot into your art, and you mentioned at Lego you're trying to pitch these ideas, but do you have, a creature that resonates with you?
There's two. So I am a big fan of the Tikbalang and how it's portrayed as a warrior. Um, the Tikbalang is a character that I'd like to be, but I'm really a duende. I'm, I would like to be this strong, tough warrior type, but I really resonate with the duende more. But so and that's what happened with one of our comic books. So we just made them partners in a story like a duende and a tikbalang. So those are the two creatures that I often connect myself with,
Mhm.
and also maybe the manananggal, but I know the duality of it and
Definitely,
the
yeah.
fact that people have trouble pronouncing it.
Yeah. A bit of a shameless plug here, but Halo Halo also has a series on mythological creatures that we're publishing
Yes.
on our blog. So, we actually do mention the Manananggal, the Duende, the Tikbalang, I think, is also on there. So, really a great storied cast.
I know you mentioned you like Warhammer.
Hmm.
Do you paint and do the whole
No,
models?
I haven't tried that. I've only seen my colleagues do that, but I have not tried painting my own models at all. But I'm a fan of it. I like watching them do it, and I've seen the little action. No, no, they're not action
Hmm.
figures.
They're
What are they called? Like
I
the
think
chess.
they're, I forget the exact term for them. I like to call them little,
Yeah,
oh,
the little soldiers, right?
yeah,
The little soldiers. They look amazing. They're so
they
detailed and so
do.
tiny. And
They
then
do.
I think some of my friends they started to 3D print their own. And then
I
they
love it.
started doing that own painting, uh, the little soldiers thing. And it's amazing. I haven't got into it yet though. Can I plug a little thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have this mini manananggal. So we
I,
started designing our own toy. There you go. Wait, where's the camera?
I
So
love
cute.
that.
Yeah, and then she has that stick of isaw.
Ooh.
Where are you going to be able to get those?
So we just started producing them in Manila, and they just launched at Manila ToyCon this year.
Is it,
And we're making the whole set. We're making next a duende and then a sirena, and we're trying to make all the whole Filipino mythology set.
we can get those here in the US too, right? Right?
Yeah, I
Right?
think yeah. Um, we can coordinate with orders soon. Sculpted by Arlux on Instagram.
Yeah, thanks for speaking with us. So yeah, again, everyone, this was Ian Santa Maria coming to us from Denmark. And yeah, so thanks again from Halo Halo, and hope we can get together again soon.
Yes,
Yep,
thank you
yep.
so much.
See you
Bye.
guys
Have a good
soon.
day.
Thank you.
Bye.